Okay, welcome back. This is video 3, and just to make it clear for this assignment series, video 1 was last week, and so I'm just keeping the sequence from that first video, but 2 and 3 will be part of what'll probably be a set of 4, maybe 5 videos for week 2 of this class. So now we're going to work on creating symbology of some of the data we pull into our ARC project. So let's go back to that. And another thing here, if you have a slow computer, you can get rid of hillshade, and that might help things build a little more. And I think I didn't mention in the last video that one of the advantages of using your own map sets, including hillshade, is that if you're using an online base map, then every time you move the map, it's downloading that new data to build the map. And so depending on your bandwidth, that kind of slows building of the map down. There's a setting to cache that data, but it still slows things down, where if it's working off your own computer, and especially if it's working off the hard drive on your computer, things will go a lot more quickly. And incidentally, here's how to cache the data. Oh, and I'll do one more thing here. Let's cancel. Notice in the lower right-hand corner here, I made this map UTM, which is a grid in meters, but you may want, so your XY value, your latitude, longitude are in meters, but you may want, for various reasons, a different coordinate system to show, and you can make a number of adjustments in data frame properties. So that's view, then data frame properties. And then that's where you set your coordinate system, and go to general. And right now the display is in meters, but let's say you'd rather have decimal degrees, and we'll apply, because then we also want to be able to cache. So this is as you move your map around, it builds the map each time, but you can, if you've got a lot of hard drive space, you can actually have it cache those sections of the map you're working in, so they build a lot faster, and so you can automatically build the cache when the current map extent changes. Mine's building pretty fast, so I'm not going to use up hard drive space. And then you can set a minimum scale. So for instance, if you're working close in at 1 to 10,000 or something like that, you can tell it not to cache the map. So we'll just hit OK and go back to the map. But notice here, I'll move the map to the left here, and notice that it's blank and then it fills in. And as I said, it's building fast enough for me, but if you get it building pretty slow, then you would want to set the cache. And now we'll do yet another thing. I'm going to put hillshade back on because I kind of like it. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to create a new group layer, and that's essentially like creating a new folder, and we're going to call that base data. Or I'm sorry, I should have called that base map. We'll call it base map. Oops. Base map. And now we'll move these two, hillshade and the topo, into it. And that just declutters your table of contents. So now I can just fold that up, and I'm going to create another one called, we'll call this one vector data. And actually, it would probably be better to call it transportation, because I'm going to put in the road and trail layer. And well, to confuse you even further, I should have called that base data, and then under that created vector and transportation, but let's just go with it. You can do whatever makes the most sense for your map and accessing your data. Notice you now have sort of a super super folder here, and so if you turn off base map, it turns off everything underneath it, even though it may be checked on. So you get rid of it like that. And there might be times you want to do that if you want to take a closer look at your symbology without the distraction of the background. Okay, so now go over to your GIS data folder and go down to Vector and pull in Stanislaus National Forest Trails. And remember that the map draws from bottom to top, and so you want this on top of your base data. So I just put it under vector and on top there. And you'll notice it's not showing up tremendously well, so let's just change a single symbol here. So you left click on the symbol, and let's actually let's look for trails. So I've opened the symbol selector, and let's search for trails. Maybe trail. This takes things pretty literally. So it gives you a bunch of symbols with trail in the name. You're probably going to get to fool around with this stuff a little bit. I'm going to choose a cave trail because it's a slight purplish tinge here, and you'll notice the width is 2.83. Let's just see what it looks like. A lot of times early on in your map, you want to choose something very visible, even garish, like a red or a yellow or something like that, just to see your data and start thinking about how you want to symbolize it. So I'm going to go with this for the moment, but you can change it at any time. And notice the trails here. Let's zoom in a little bit here on a set of trails over here. Yeah, it doesn't show up tremendously well. Let's just go with a bright red, huh? A highway ramp. Okay. Yeah, ultimately you're not going to want to use that, but let's just go with that for the moment. And now let's put in a roads layer. Stanislaus National Forest roads. I'll put that above the trails layer, although the two won't interfere with each other. Let's zoom out a little bit. Here's Sonora Pass. So we know that the road goes across Sonora Pass. And let's move the map a little bit. Let's save. Okay, now here I'm going to show you how to show a whole bunch of different symbols from the same data set. So notice that the roads don't really show up all that well right now. But let's open the attribute table, kind of move it out of the way. Now you know that Highway 108 is a major road. Let's move it more over here and make it a little smaller. If you're working, I've got a second screen here, but we're not recording on that. So normally I'd move this over to my right-hand screen. So what you want to do now, this data set is divided up to show what kind of road it is, that is paved or dirt or a main highway. And I don't know the coding they use, and so we're going to have to figure that out right now. So notice here we have a trans code. So you have E's, you have F, you have C. Anyway, you have a whole bunch of different types, and same with CF code, which I think is another road classification. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to highlight a bunch of the different roads just to see what they are. So first, so you go to the symbol selector here, and I'm holding down the shift key. So we know Highway 108 is a major highway. So let's, is that 108? No, it's not the, oh yeah, that is the pass. Yeah, okay, sorry. And so down here, you have two choices. You have show all records or just show selected records. So we're going to show selected records. And notice that that highlighted section is coded as C and or 517. So let's see if that continues. We go holding down the shift key so that each one of them shows up. So I'm on Highway 108, and each time I select a segment of it, it's showing up as C. So now, let's see, I think we're still highway. No, that was, well, let's see here. Let's move this around. Okay, that's somehow coded as, okay, so C and A maintain the highway. So here's a little bit of dirt road down here. So let's same thing. Let's. Uh-oh. Well, I've gotten rid of it, but let's look at that. So that's an F. So that's a little unimproved road there, and that's an A. Well, without spending too much more time on this, let's assume that C is going to be a good paved road, a highway, and that let's make sure here. Yeah, C. A. What I'm trying to find here, always rehearse, is some of the little side rows. It would help our life here if we could make them bright and shiny so that they show up. Okay, here's all roads showing up pretty good with little red trails heading off of them. So we'll assume these are secondary roads over here. So let's go back to the symbol selector. Great. And let's see. Okay, I selected a whole bunch of Fs. I'm not sure which road that is, but just for our purposes, let's choose F as, we'll just call that a paved road, and we'll just remember that C is the major highway. But you'll have to fiddle around to find, some are going to be paved and then some are going to be unimproved dirt. So in any event, let's highlight our roads, right click and go to properties. And this is where we divide up the road categories based on the transportation field, and we look for unique values. So add all values. Oh, that was a mistake. Sorry, we want to do it for trans, and then add all values for that. And so it's A, B, C, D, E, F. Well, that's pretty good. So let's just say that everything except C is going to be, well, let's make F dirt. I don't know that it is, but we'll classify that as dirt. So you can just change that individual to, let's see if we have an unpaved symbol. And we do. We have storm sewers, we have road unpaved. So let's do that, but let's make it a little thicker. Let's go 2 and a little less gray. Make it a little darker. Gray 70%. Okay, that's good. And then for everything else, we'll just make it a regular road. So again, I'm going to hold down the Shift key for all but, oops. Okay, well, I've held down the Shift key, so I've highlighted A through E, but now I'm going to use the Control key to get rid of C. So then you right-click, and we group those values. Notice that it grouped all those A, B, D, E, and so when you symbolize those, they'll all be the same. So let's call those major roads. And then finally C, let's call that not a highway, or not a freeway. Well, I don't know, red. Sure, we'll call it a freeway ramp, even though it's not, but we want to make it visible as a main highway. Okay, and what you can do, I'm going to move this off to my other screen here, and we'll get rid of, that's not going to let me. We hit apply. Yeah, it's a little garish, but in any event, you saw the, we'll hit OK. You saw the workflow to do that. Oh, that's right, we still have the trails as red. We don't want that. Let's go to trails. That's right, it's not trails plural, it's singular. Trail. Okay. And let's see what pedestrian abandoned does for us. It's got a width of 2, which is reasonable. Okay. Might have wanted to make that a little thinner, but that's pretty good. And it does clash a little. Oh, let's clear the highlighted section there. This little clear selected features, that clears it, so it's not highlighted anymore. Well, I think ultimately that's not what you're going to want. But notice the highway here is outlined in a red gold. The other roads are this thick black dotted layer, and again, that's not what we're going to want. But anyway, it's a start. When we get into the layout view and you start setting it up as you want to others to see it, then we'll want to go into a little more detail and maybe even get a book on map symbology and what the standards are for roads and highways and trails and things like that. But as you're fooling around, as I said earlier, you kind of want to see those layers and then decide how you want them to be emphasized on the map. So as always, we save, and I will stop this one. I'll then post these, and then tomorrow I will do a couple more. And I think they'll all be on YouTube. Anyway, we're stopping recording. See you in video 4.